Hello, this is Gayatri from CSC Data Science, and today my topic is FLASK. What is FLASK? FLASK is a microwave application framework written in Python, and based on the work is a toolkit. WSGI is a web server gateway interface. It is a specification that describes how a web server communicates with web applications and how web applications can be chained together to process one request. WSGI is Python standard and Jinja's template engine. Template engines are tools to separate program logic engine and presentation into two independent paths. This makes the development of both logic and presentation easier, improves flexibility, and eases modification and maintenance. As of 2015, the latest stable version of Flask is 0.10.1. Examples of applications that make use of the Flask web page are Pinterest, LinkedIn, as well as the communicative web page for Flask itself. Flask. Flask is called a micro framework because it does not presume or force a developer to use a particular tool or library. It has no database, abstraction layer, form validation, or any other components where pre-existing third-party libraries provide common functions. However, Flask supports extensions that can add application features as if they were implemented in Flask itself. Extensions exist for object relation mappers, form validation, uploading handling various, open authentication technologies, and several other framework-related tools. Flask is a web development framework developed in Python. It is easy to learn and use. Flask is beginner friendly because it does not have boilerplate code or dependencies which can distract from the primary function of an application. Origins of Flask. Flask originated in 2004 when a developer named Armin Ronacher created as an April Fool's joke. However, it quickly gained popularity in the open source community anyway. Consequently, it developed into a popular open source project and gained a massive following which it maintains today. Features. Features of Flask. It contains development server and debugger, integrated support for unit testing, RESTful request dispatching, uses Jinjas to templating, support for secure cookies, 100% WSGI 1.0 complement, Unicode-based extensive documentation, Google App Engine compatibility, and Flask provides a development server and a debugger. It uses Jinja templates, it is complemented, and it provides integrated support for unit testing. Many extensions are available for Flask which can be used to enhance its functionalities. In this course, we will be using a few of these extensions to create a working project. Why is Flask called a micro framework? Flask is known as a micro framework because it is lightweight and only provides components that are essential. It only provides the necessary components for web development, such as routing, requesting handling, sessions, and so on. For the other functionalities, such as data handling, the developer can write a custom module or use an extension. This approach avoids unnecessary boilerplate code which is not even being used. Yeah, installing Flask. You will need Python 2.6 or higher to get started. All dependencies are installed by using pip installed Flask. I encourage you to use a virtual env. Virtual env is a tool to create isolated Python environments. Virtual env creates a folder which contains all the necessary executables to use the packages that a Python project would need. Before getting started, we need to install Flask. Because systems vary, things can sporadically go wrong during these steps. If they do, like we all do, just Google the error message or leave a comment describing the providing. Yeah, this is how virtual env works. We are installing this thing by pip install virtual env, and the configuring will be as shown in the slide, and the code will be like activating, deactivating as shown in the slide. For example, from Flask import Flask app, that is equal to Flask of underscore name underscore bracket closed at the rate app dot root back inverted commas slash close inverted commas bracket close def hello bracket colon return hello world if this name is printed as shown in the slide. Okay, this is how it goes on. uh, uh, is okay. In web development, there is only one front-end language, and that's JavaScript. And things compile to JavaScript like TypeScript. Everything else runs on a server somewhere, not in the browser, and that makes it backend. Flask, which is written in Python, is backend. Since a lot of apps now use Abus to communicate with their apps, with an API backend, you can have a web app, mobile app, and desktop app all calling the same backend written in Flask. Flask is a very lightweight and allows for greater control from developers developing with it. Hello World. Flask is the first app installing. Yeah, here's the coding and everything. And this is the way we code in Flask. First, we typed hashtag import Flask library from Flask import Flask. Initialize the app from Flask. App, that is Flask underscore name underscore. Define a route to hello world function. App router, define hello world, return hello world, and run the app through this HTTP mail. And what is SQL Alchemy? For larger applications, use SQL Alchemy that handles database connections in a more intelligent way. Allows you to target different relational databases at once and more. And here's the coding, the method of the coding in SQL Alchemy as shown in the slide. Forms. WT forms. Installing pip install flask.wtf, coding the form third-party imports from flask.ext.wtf. Import form text field, text area field required. And the class news create form title text field title required text area field as shown in the slide. Yeah. Tutorial. Yeah. Blogging application flashcard. Use sign in and out with credentials specified in the configuration. Only one user is supported. When the user is logged in, they can add new entries to the page consisting of a text-only title and some HTML for the text. The page shows all entries so far in reverse order, newest on top, and the user can add new ones from there if logged in. Yeah, this is how we open the Flasker, and new entry was successfully posted. Yeah, title, text, hello world, run the program. Setting up the structure, the project structure. Let's create a couple of folders and files within Flask app to keep our web app organized. Within Flask app, create a folder app to contain all your files. Inside app, create a folder static. This is where we'll put our web apps images, CSS and JavaScript files. So create folders for each of those as demonstrated above. Additionally, create another folder templates to store the app's web templates. Create an empty Python file roots.py for the application logic such as the routing. And no project is complete without a helpful description, so create a readme.md file as well. This is the way we project structure, set up the project structure. How to create a home page. Creating a home page. As a first step, we'll define our page layout in a skeleton HTML document, layout.html, and put it inside the templates folder. app/templates/layout.html, and this is the way we code. Yeah. Let's create another file, home.html, app templates home.html, and this is the way we create the HTML. Layout.html defines all of the common elements of your site. Home.html is placed in the templates folder. Now we need to map a URL to it so we can view it in the browser. Let's open up roots.py and do this. approots.py. Return to the command line and type pythonroots.py. Visit the HTTP and in your favorite web browser as shown in this slide. Visit this thing so that you could find and develop a HTML. Although Flask has a built-in web server, as we all know, it's not suitable for production and needs to be put behind a real web server able to communicate with Flask through a WSGI protocol. A common choice for that is Gunicon, a Python WSGI HTTP server. What are the advantages of Flask? It has higher compatibility with latest technologies, technical experimentation, easier to use for simple cases, code base size is relatively smaller, high scalability for simple applications, easy to build a quick prototype, and a routing URL is easy to develop and maintain applications. Who is using Flask? Yeah, Netflix, the famous app, uses Flask, Reddit, and Lyft, Mozilla, MIT, Uber, and many others. Airbnb, like this. They use Flask. Flask is a micro web framework written in Python. It is classified as a micro framework because it does not require particular tools or libraries. It has no database abstraction layer from validation or any other components where pre-existing third-party libraries provide common functions. Basically, Flask is a popular Python web framework, meaning it is a third-party Python library used for developing web applications. How does Flask work with HTML? Yeah. Flask provides a render templates helper function that allows use of the Jinja template engine. This will make managing HTML much easier by writing your HTML code in HTML files as well as using logic in your HTML code. Now, yeah, thank you.